Alright guys, so this is my last big video that I'm going to be doing for 2020 before I go into my year-end album lists. This is something I knew I was going to be doing for a while now, and it's time to finally make it happen. But first, before I talk about the proper film, I want to discuss the short film that was attached to this movie. And that is the new Sparks short, Burrow, which is a pretty simple short film about a young rabbit who's trying to build the burrow of her dreams, only to be embarrassed every time she digs into a neighbor's house. It's simple, it's sweet, there's no dialogue, the characters are very charming, the 2D animation is very clever. I obviously would have liked to see this on the big screen alongside Soul. Naturally that couldn't happen, but definitely check it out if you have Disney Plus and are planning to check out Pixar's new film. It's a nice little appetizer and I'm sure you'll like it. Now on to the proper video. Welcome back to another unscripted film review. Again, it's been a while since I've done one of these, but obviously COVID happened and movie theaters had to be closed down. In particular, my local movie theater that I've been going to for pretty much my entire life closed down permanently recently. And not only that, but with COVID, I didn't really feel all that comfortable going back to movie theaters even when they did temporarily open back up, so I wasn't able to review too many new movies. Of course, I know Wonder Woman 1984 came out and I do want to watch that. I don't have HBO Max though, so I don't know if I'll be able to do a proper review of it. But because I have Disney Plus, that's been my primary mode of watching things over the past few months, and this just happened to be another example of a film I watched. So, as you can tell from the title, the film that I will be reviewing today is the newest Pixar movie, Soul. This is the 23rd feature film from Pixar Animation Studios and also the 4th from director Pete Docter after Monsters, Inc., Up, and Inside Out. The film is also co-directed by Kemp Powers, making this his directorial debut, and it is the second Pixar film to be released in 2020 after Onward came out this March. Onward was a movie that I reviewed on this channel back when it first came out. I very much loved it, and you can check out my thoughts on it at the link in the description. But obviously a lot has changed in the world since that movie's release. Just a week afterwards was when the COVID-19 lockdown happened, meaning that movie theaters had to be shut down, and Onward had to have its release rushed to Disney Plus, which created a lot of questions about this movie. Obviously Disney and Pixar had been planning to release it in theaters in June, but then with COVID the film got pushed to November, replacing Disney Animation Studios' own upcoming film Raya and the Last Dragon. And then Disney announced out of nowhere that the movie's theatrical release was just completely canceled and that it would be coming to Disney Plus on Christmas Day, which wasn't a huge surprise, but the big surprise for me was that it was free on Disney Plus. As some of you may know, back in September, Disney released the Mulan remake on Disney Plus, but with a $30 upcharge on it. I would have thought a new Pixar movie would have had that, but nope, Disney just decided to release it right onto Disney Plus at no extra charge. Personally, I would have enjoyed watching it regardless of whether there was an upcharge because I'm a huge Pixar fan and I've enjoyed a lot of their movies up to this point, but of course I'm glad that there wasn't any need for any extra upcharge with its release. And after watching this, I can say it is another Pixar winner. Soul continues to prove to me why Pixar is one of the best in the business at creating all ages entertainment that is entertaining and emotionally potent. To give a basic rundown of the story, the movie is about a middle school music teacher named Joe Gardner who has a huge passion for jazz music, but unfortunately can't really show that passion because he's stuck teaching these middle school students that really couldn't give a damn. But he happens to have a chance encounter with a former student of his named Curly, who affords him an opportunity to play piano alongside the legendary Dorothy Williams. He impresses her in his audition and he is immediately given the job, which he's very excited about, but on his way home, he falls down a manhole and becomes a spirit. Throughout the movie, Joe has to find a way to reunite his soul form with his human body so that he can make the most of this opportunity. In general, I think the story does follow some traditional themes and traditional ideas, having a main character who's down on his luck and just about to get a big break, trying to find his way back to himself. And much like many of Pixar's best movies, this does have a buddy element to it, as he is paired with 22, who is another soul that he meets that basically has a much more dim view of life that really just doesn't want to reunite with the real world. But despite having a seemingly familiar concept on the surface, the movie takes a lot of unique turns to it. Just in a personal way, I was very excited about the movie because having grown up attending a music high school and performing in jazz ensembles, and having numerous friends that are jazz performers, there were elements to the movie that felt very personal to me and felt like things that I recognized pretty quickly. And I think the movie also works in how it tackles very mature themes and ideas. Obviously, Pixar has been no stranger to tackling mature ideas, but this movie tackles a lot of themes of existentialism, death, where we go when we're gone. There were a few moments where I felt like it was discussing ideas ideas of mental health, for example. The idea of what our purpose in life is, what the meaning of life is, what a personal meaning of life is. There are certainly some funny moments in the movie, like when one of the souls mentions that they've been cursing the New York Knicks basketball team for decades, but in general, this is one of Pixar's more serious movies. And because it handles dark themes like death and purpose in life, I feel like there are a lot of layers to the story. Honestly, I can't wait to watch it a few more times because I want to pick apart more things about the story. I feel like there's so many ideas to pick apart from the movie, and it begs for repeat viewings. I also think the characters in the movie were really charming too. Joe Gardner and 22 are the ones that we follow the most in the movie, but they're very charming and likable. I think they have great chemistry as characters, and I can't help but root for them all throughout the movie. Other characters like Curly, Liba Gardner, Paul, Dorothy Williams, and Moonwind are pretty minor and don't have quite as much focus, but what I can commend them on is that their voice actors do a very wonderful job. Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, Questlove, Felicia Rashad, Daveed Diggs, Angela Bassett, Graham Norton, all of them are game for a movie like this, and each one of them brings a flair and cleverness to their character that makes them all worth cheering for. As far as the animation goes, we all know that Pixar has been a company that's always been known for amazing animation, and Soul is no different. In fact, I think this is one of their best animated movies. Obviously, the colors pop off the screen and the little details are great, but I think what's so interesting about the movie is that visually it takes on a bit more of a surreal style than a number of Pixar's other films, and that works. Whether or not we were in the human world or the spirit world, I couldn't take my eyes off the movie because of how beautiful it was. It's so different from Pixar's other films that it's just pretty stunning. I heard one reviewer say this about Soul, and I actually agree. The movie does play out like a jazz composition. It's built off of a traditional, familiar idea, but it twists and turns in so many unexpected ways that you don't know where it's going to end, but when it does land there, it feels satisfying. That's how I feel about Soul, which is another fantastic film from Pixar. As beautifully designed and entertaining as it is, it's also a film that feels kind of existential. Under the surface, it's very dark. It might come off as friendly and pretty funny, but there are a lot of very mature themes to it that are pretty admirable. Naturally, it has the things that kids are going to love about Pixar movies with the colorful visuals and the clever characters, but for adults, it gives you plenty to contemplate. And as I said, it feels like the Pixar movie that is the most ripe for repeat viewings. The writing is so layered and multifaceted that you're gonna want to watch it more than a few times to understand some of the finer points of it. All in all, I think Pixar did an amazing job with Soul, and in a year as shitty as 2020, it feels great to end off with something as beautiful as this. Overall, my rating scale, it should be obvious, but I'm definitely gonna say that Pixar's Soul is gonna get an excellent rating from me. Another stunner from Pixar, definitely one of my personal favorite films of the year. If you have Disney Plus, definitely give it a look. Another wonderful job from Pixar. But that's just my opinion on this film. What did you guys think about it? Did you love it as much as I did? Were you more disappointed in it? Are you completely indifferent towards it? And as one of two Pixar movies to release this year, which did you prefer, Onward or Soul? For me, I think I lean a little bit more towards Soul, but Onward is still an amazing movie. What were your opinions though? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Let's keep this civil and have some fun as we like to do. If you guys want to hit like and subscribe, thank you. If not, it's no big deal. I totally understand. If you guys want to support my passion for content creation by subscribing to my OnlyFans, where I create exclusive music review and poetry content for $4.99 a month, the link to that is in the description as well. Of course, it's no big deal if you can't or don't want to, and I appreciate anyone who is able to. As I said, this is the last film that I'm going to be reviewing in 2020. I'm sorry I couldn't do more of these during the year, but obviously COVID happened, which shut down movie theaters, and even when they did temporarily open back up, I personally didn't feel all that comfortable going back in the midst of a pandemic. And I'm sorry that most of my reviews this year were Disney films, but Disney Plus was just my primary way of watching stuff this year. Hopefully 2021 will be better in terms of new films, and hopefully I will be able to have access to them. Regardless, thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for supporting my film reviews this year. This was a new idea that kind of came to me on the spot early in the year, and even though COVID happened and took away from films, I'm glad I was able to still do these, and I'm glad you guys were supportive of them. Hopefully it'll be safer to go back to movie theaters next year, and I'll be able to check out more films. Of course, if I do, I will review them here, so stay tuned for those, but until next time, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.